Yes, I will conquer them. Come on, let's conquer. Oh, I will conquer. Rise up and conquer them. Tell them no retreat, no surrender. I shall fight till the end of days. I was born as a Makai warrior, and the Almighty God my blade. Fire burn all Satan carrier. Father loose all shackles and chain. This morning first thing as I wake up, King David told Sam to the brain. Don't let your courage go down, keep it up. And if your heart rip up and stitch it up, don't let your faith them fall, pick it up. When my cup was empty, God fill it up. Don't take the devil contract, rip it up. And if your bad mind people to go meet it up, pass me the Congo drum and let me beat it up. God on my side, me no give it up. So no weapon that form against us shall not prevail. And no man that rise against us, that war they shall never win. Oh, I will conquer. Yes, I will conquer them. Come on, let's conquer. Oh, I will conquer. Rise up and conquer them.
Thank you, Father. I want to say thank you, Lord. You are everything, Father. Thank you.
Father, you alone shall guide me. No man shall lead my path. In the wind I hear your quiet whispers, and you heal my broken heart. Even some of my friends turn enemies, and they pray for right to feel. And remember you gave us your only begotten son, but we gave him the wound of life. Send down your warriors with the hello. Be carried on to the end of days. No matter how the devil try trick me, unto you my soul I will give. Father, I know this storm is coming. I can see the high tide raise. Without you there is no other. Could there be that we is my soul? No weapon that form against us shall not prevail. No man that rise against us, that war they shall never win. Because I will conquer. Oh, I will conquer. Yes, I will conquer them. Come on, let's conquer. Oh, I will conquer. Rise up and conquer them. I am a man. I am a champion. I am a warrior. So who are you to tell me that I cannot make? Who are you to tell me that I am not the greatest thing that God ever created?
Good morning, Grenada, Carriacou, and PT Martinique. You're listening to Hard Talk Grenada. A very special good morning to those of you joining us on 97.5 CitysoundFM, 89.5 CRFM, 92.9 Sister Al Radio broadcasting from Hillsborough, Carriacou, and of course 94.9 We Noise Radio out there in Brooklyn, New York. A very special good morning to those of you joining us on the live video, whether it's on Facebook, it's on YouTube, WhatsApp, Instagram, wherever you may be. Good morning to you. It's always a pleasure being here with you every single day, especially the days when I haven't been here the day before and I'm here now. I really miss you guys. All right. We have a lot of things to talk about this morning. A lot has been happening. And of course, I want to let you guys know very early that tomorrow we're going to have a special guest. And we're going to have a very decent adult conversation about an issue that, a long-standing issue that needs to be spoken about. All right. We are getting a bit of rain, and I know we are very thankful for that. The farmers are smiling. The trees are even smiling, even with the little sprinkle that they have gotten. You would see some green starting to flourish again. So we are grateful for that, and we know that we need it because it has been a very harsh dry season. There has been a lot of valve regulation happening, so a lot of people would notice that they don't have water in certain areas, etc. So it's really a good thing that we're getting some rain. The season has been very active, I must say, thus far, with a few tropical depressions on the horizon. So we have to pay attention. We have to look out for that because, of course, we know these things coming our way, they will affect us in one way or the other, whether directly or indirectly. All right, so we have that to look forward to. We're going to open the lines very early this morning to start the conversation. Let me know what's happening with you. It's been a while since we've talked, since we've, shared our experiences as a result of COVID-19. A lot of people now have the opportunity to go back to work. Some people happier than others as it relates as it relates to that, but everyone is grateful, and I'm grateful that we are able to do that once again. It's really difficult being confined to your home or locked up, I would say, in your home. So we really want to be thankful. We really are very thankful for the fact that we can do that. All right. So I'm going to open the lines very early this morning. Remember, we are able to take WhatsApp calls. Yes. We're able to take WhatsApp calls. So for those of you who are sitting at home and you want to contribute, you can call us via 440-7377 for local calls. If you're in the diaspora and you want to give us a call, it's 347-329-3101. And of course, you can send us a message on WhatsApp via 440-7377, or you can give us a call. Let's know what's going on with you. How do you feel about the fact that the borders are now opening? I believe sometime at the end of June, we should see, that is the projected date. Remember, with COVID-19, anything can happen. It's such an unpredictable virus. So we never know what's going to happen. We can plan, but those plans are subject to change, and I want people to know that. So because it's said that the border is going to open in June, at the end of June, it doesn't necessarily mean that is exactly what will happen. So I want us to look at everything with an open mind and an expected change. All right. I want to take some time here to share with you the new regulations as of today. So the government of Grenada announces an update to the curfew hours. All right. We are now able to operate with freedom of movement from 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. There are a lot of people who are asking for it. Well, here it is. We're now able to operate from 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. The beaches are open from 5 a.m. to 5 p.m. So I'm happy about that. I am extremely pleased that the beaches are opened, or we're able to go to the beach for a longer period, because when I get off of work, or when I have to get up to get ready to come to work, I don't have time to go on the beach early in the morning. So I'm happy about it. And I know there are a few other people who are very pleased that we're able to do that. Businesses who have already been authorized to operate may do so until 7 p.m. So previously, businesses would close at 5, to accommodate the curfew hours, which was 7 o'clock. They would close at 5. Now they're able to open until 7 because the curfew has been extended to 9 o'clock, or freedom of movement has been extended to 9 o'clock. Additionally, gyms and fitness centers, operators licensed under the Gaming Act, food vendors, and restaurants with dine-in services are now permitted to operate. All right. But of course, and we must say that, I saw Fit for Life put out a statement, and they're absolutely correct. Now, they've been given the go-ahead to do it, but remember that there are protocols that have to be in place. Now, I keep telling everybody, there are a lot of people who keep saying, oh, well, they tell us this today for tomorrow. So because the protocols have been changed yesterday, doesn't mean that they tell you open today. That is not what they're saying. They're saying now you have the ability to operate your gyms and so on, to go ahead, make the preparation, make the arrangements to facilitate your customers, but also keep it in mind, and that's how proper business planning comes about. We must have known that at some point these things would we would have to go back to normal, right? So businesses should have already started preparing for that eventuality, preparing in terms of ensuring that you can keep the physical distancing within the gym. You can your clients have the necessary tools to sanitize before, during, and after a workout. You know, all of these things have to be taken into consideration. So now that we have an opportunity to do it, we can. I'm very happy that we can that we can do that now. I've been hoping that the gym would open because, trust me, as much as I want to exercise at home, I'm not gonna fool myself. It didn't happen. You know, it's just not working out the way that I want it to work. You know, so I'm hoping that I'll be able to go back to the gym. I have to take a month of rest or so because I have a injury, but in my back. But other than that, I'm very excited, and I know a lot of people are excited for that eventuality. Now, this morning, I want us to talk on a few topics. A few things that we must discuss this morning. One, to deal with education. Two, to deal with agriculture. Last week, Mr. Bola and I spent an extensive amount of time discussing agriculture, what we think can happen, what may have happened, what the government has done for farmers, what farmers can do or are doing or are not doing. And I want us as a people to really honestly sit down and analyze agriculture from an objective point of view. Now, a lot of us are of the opinion, a lot of us feel that agriculture is the way forward, that agriculture must take more precedence over tourism. And I wouldn't say that it should take precedence over tourism, but it should maybe be on the same level. But of course, there must be a marriage, and not just in tourism, but there must be a marriage of agriculture in education. There must be a marriage of agriculture, you know, in our daily lives. We ask for it. We ask that farmers be offered more, right? Some of us don't even know what the more we're asking for is. But at the same time, as a people, we must be willing to support what we are asking for, right? And support in many different ways. So I was listening to a program on Sunday, and in that program, they were discussing agriculture in schools. And you see, for me, education is bigger than just what is taught in schools, right? I say education is every teachable moment that a child or even an adult is exposed to. So at this age, there are a lot of people that are still learning. That is education, you know? As long as you continue to learn, it's education. So every teachable moment in a child's life, that is education. Now, a lot of people believe that more needs to be done in agriculture in schools. Now, for me, there needs to be a mindset change. We have a really big mindset problem in Grenada, a very big mindset problem in Grenada. Now, we are of the belief that there are a lot of jobs that are not suitable, or a lot of jobs that are not equipped, are not on a level that our children should take. So we find a lot of parents sending their children to study sciences, to become doctors, or to become technicians, or to become lawyers, to become teachers. That happens in Grenada a lot, you know, and sometimes we have to be honest with ourselves. So you have a problem where, and people keep saying, oh, well, the teachers need to encourage the children to. Let me tell you all something. As a parent and a former teacher, parents have a lot to say, maybe even more than the students themselves, in what subjects a child does for CXC. Parents have a lot to say influence over what their children study, what their children's interests are. So I would say that there comes a time when we must point fingers in the right direction. If we point in fingers. As a society, we have taught our children that they must go to school, they must work hard, so they could be a lawyer. And mommy wants you to be a doctor, you know? And we don't teach them, and we look down, even ourselves, we look down on the farmers, and we look down on the carpenters, and we look down on the sanitation workers even, as lower class society, people in society. And I mean, that's the truth. You know, anybody that wants to deny it can go ahead and do that. But we all know that that's the truth. And it's time for that mindset to change. Because you see, in order for farming to develop, people have to want to farm. People have to be interested in farming. You know, people have to treat farming as a business, as a way of life, and not just a means to an end. You know, and we find a lot in society that, well, my mother working hard in the garden, and you going in the garden and work hard, and your children sit on inside. You know, and a lot of that happens because we don't want our children exposed to this hard life. We don't want our children to be exposed to this kind of labor. And we don't educate our children enough to let them know that being in agriculture doesn't necessarily mean that you have to go and sit down in the land and help me weed or help me plant. While that is very necessary and while that is important, it's more than that. You know, what about the agro-processing factor of agriculture? You know, people say, oh, government must invest more in agro-processing. But what about us as a society? You know, why can't we be the ones to invest in agro-processing? Why can't we be the ones with the ideas to say, okay, well, I'm going to take a chance and do this? You know, I always hear, well, government needs to, well, government needs to, well, government needs to. But what about us? You know, we talk about the unemployment rate in Grenada is high. We talk about the youth not being unemployed. But what incentive as a people, and I'm not talking about government at this point, but what incentive as a people are we giving to young people, to encouragement are we giving to them to start their own businesses, to get involved in new and innovative ways of doing things, to encourage their love for technology and help them to incorporate it into their daily lives and see how they can incorporate it into some of the different factors of society? Why are we not doing more of that? You know, when the young people sit down and they listen to us and all we're saying is, well, government didn't do this and government didn't do that, they too develop the mindset that, well, if something has to be done, government has to do it. And I mean, it's time for us to break away from that mindset. I'm not saying that there isn't more that government can do for us. I'm not saying that government has done all that they can. But I'm saying that as a people, we have to do more. We have to want to do more. We have to learn to do more. We have to want to build and develop our country, build and develop ourselves, build and develop our own lives. We have to want to do that. Because the opportunities are there, but only a few take advantage of the opportunities that are granted to them. You know? So education in agriculture, it's important. And it's not just about teaching a child how to plant or teaching a child the parts of a plant or teaching a child how much water a plant needs. It's more than that. It's teaching them that agriculture is more than just farm labor. It's teaching them that agriculture has so many different aspects, so many careers that you can take advantage of. And that is where we need to start. See, we're always going about things the wrong way. We're always beginning to deal with a situation by blaming somebody else for the situation. When in actuality, what we need to be doing is looking for ways that we can contribute to making the situation better. You know? So there is a mindset problem, and there is things that we need to change about the way we approach a lot of things in this country. We have to be careful. I mean, we do a lot of blaming, we do a lot of finger pointing, and then at the end of the day, we turn around and say, well, government ain't employing nobody, the public service, it's full, it's in nobody ain't employing people anymore, and we say that without first thinking that maybe I can do this instead of government. Maybe I can be the one to start up an agro-processing plant so I can make maybe candied mangoes or mango juice, or start making red mango. You know, somebody said to me the other day, we pick the green mangoes in Grenada and export them to be turned into red mangoes so that we can buy them as red mango. Why somebody can't do that here? You know, pickled fruit, pickled vegetables. Why can't we start here so that the things that we plant and grow and export and it's coming back to us at an increased cost, we don't have to do that. We can do that right at home. And it does not have to be government. It can be me. I can sit down and say, you know what? I have a business idea. Let me get some advice on what is the best way to approach this, because I see that this is a benefit. We have so much mango wasting right now in season. It's being wasted. Because you see, we and it's what's being taught to us. It's what's being told to us. Oh, government have to have vision. No, we have to have vision as a people. And every individual should have a vision of how their life should be, what they want for their life, how they plan to achieve what they want for their life. That is very important. We have to come from the place where we believe that certain jobs are for a lower class. So I don't want my daughter to be a farmer. She can't be an agronomist, you know, because farming is for the lower class of society. My son can't be a carpenter. My son can't do tiling because there's more for him. You know, we look at these things in the wrong perspective. It really is a mindset change that has to happen. Once the mindset is changed, then everything else will start falling in place. Our priorities are very mixed up in what we want as a people. And that's the truth. I mean, we can argue back and forth about it. We can pinpoint 50 different things that government did or did not do. But at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is the fact that we have to have a mindset change. Once our mindset changes, everything else will fall in place. You know? Everything else will fall in place. We have let me see that here. So we've opened the lines. The number to call is 440-7377. If you're in the diaspora and you want to call, it's 347-329-3101. And if you want to call us via WhatsApp, the number to call is 440-7377 if you want to contribute to the conversation. And then let's talk about schools now. How they can contribute to the development of agriculture. So we're taking it in stages. It must start at home. There must be a mindset change for the parents. There must be a mindset change for the children. Now we're talking in schools. How can we further incorporate a love for agriculture in schools? Now, when I was a teacher, my grade 2 class, we had agriculture science every maybe 2 or 3 days of the week. Depending on how the timetable is, we'll have agriculture. A lot of what happens in the schools, especially in primary schools, you have a lot of bookwork. So a lot of theory on how things should be that's done. That's talk. But what about the practical aspect of it? So for example, when I was teaching the parts of a plant to my students, right? We went outside, we dug up a little plot of land, you know, and that was our agricultural spot. I mean, all schools may not have access to that. If that's not the case, then you have the child bring, buy one of those aluminum trays for $5 or so on, fill it up with mud, and that's your agriculture section of the school. You know, I believe that each class should have an agriculture plot, an agriculture section of the school for practical work. You know, we teach a lot of theory. So a child could tell you the parts of the plant, the seed, the root, the stem, the leaves, they can tell you that. They can tell you how to germinate a seed in a cup. But ask them what happens after. But the care for a plant, the joy and the appreciation of reaping their crop. A lot of them don't know about that. So when I was a teacher in grade 2, my students, one day I would tell the parents, I say, you know what, guys? The children and I are doing agriculture. This is what I want you to give them. They came with their gloves. They came with their change of clothes. We fork up our piece of land and we started planting peas and seasoning peppers. I'm sure it's still there to that day. Until the lady in the tuck shop used to come and take our peppers from us. But at the end of the day, the children appreciated it more. They were able to germinate their plants. They were able to take their plants now and transfer it to the ground, watch their plant grow, and be able to reap the produce of that. That's how far we need to take teaching. It must be no more practical, no more theory, no more book sense. But the practical work now has to be done. We have a caller on the line. Good morning, caller. Oh, no, we seem to have lost that caller. Please try again. You know, we have to appreciate the practical sense of agriculture and teach it in schools. Agriculture science cannot only be buy a book for $60-something. My child use the book, they learn it, they cram whatever inside it, and they pass a test, and you ask them to go outside and do what they've learned from the book, and they cannot. They don't have an appreciation for what agriculture is. Very rare you'd see teachers teaching about livestock and the class have a goat or a pig or a chicken or nothing. You know, I'm not blaming the teachers. I'm not saying that they're not doing what they're supposed to do, because I'm sure that's what they were taught as well. But I know when we're studying, they teach us to be more hands-on, you know? So the parents at home, the teachers, it must be done in stages, because the teacher can be doing all of that in school and then afterwards the parents telling the children famine is for poor people and famine is not for you and you have to be a doctor or a lawyer. The appreciation and the mindset change has to start at home and be reinforced at school. We have a caller on the line. Good morning, caller.
How everything?
Hi, good morning.
Yeah, Mr. Kane, you speak on the talk agriculture this morning. I know one of the things that I always say, that we parents have to take some blame of the attitude that young people have toward agriculture product. You know, when you look at people who tell the children are working too hard to send into school, to go and to study agriculture and to go and work in the land. When they take the survey and then children and ask them what they would like to be in life, very few are going to get people, the young people saying they want to go and do agriculture. What I'm saying is that the same money the parents who work hard in agriculture to get them to be them. But we turn back and tell our children, you don't want them to go and do that. We want them to be doctors, lawyers, and the policemen. But even yet the doctors, lawyers, policemen, judge, magistrate, yeah, they have the qualification. But they still doing agriculture, some form of agriculture. So the mindset had to change. We have to change the mindset. We have our young children, and we don't say agriculture dying. But if we change our mindset, and we have the right attitude toward agriculture, there could be a change. And when you're doing something, you don't do it because you do for the money sake. Do it because you love what you're doing. And once you love what you're doing, you will prosper in it. If you only love, you only do for the money's sake, you will not prosper. And I want to say again, the marriage with agriculture and tourism, they have to work hand in hand. They have to work hand as tourism develop, agriculture develop.
Yeah.
As tourism develop, agriculture, both them work in hand. So, Mr. Duncan, you have a wonderful day. God bless.
You too. Thank you so much for your contribution. And the caller is right. There must be a marriage. There must be a marriage between tourism and agriculture, because a lot of the farming that is done here, a lot of the crops that our farmers reap, a lot of it is being sold to hotels. So a lot of people are saying that, oh, we focus too much on tourism. But then you have to remember that the region is, and it's not just Grenada, but the region on a whole, we are very tourism centered. You know, it's one of our main sources of revenue, and not just as government, but also for private individuals as well. So the focus on tourism is not just because it's not just because they want to focus on tourism more than agriculture. And nobody is saying they are focusing on tourism more than agriculture. But you have to be careful, because if government is going to invest a lot of monies into agriculture, as Mr. Bowler rightfully said, maybe the strategy, the way that they roll it out, the implementation needs to change. Because you would find that they would do all that they can. Look, the government of China, the People's Republic of China, they would have just recently donated machinery for us in Grenada, for our farmers. You know? So the opportunity is there. The way forward is there. But there must be a different approach taking to agriculture. And it's not just government. You know, farmers had to take some of the blame too. Because as it is being said, as it is being said, you can take the horse to the well, but you can't make it drink. You know? They have to come together more for the well-being of agriculture, and not just for their own personal gain. So everybody planting tomatoes because everybody see that tomatoes making a whole lot of money at this point in time. Then you see that there is too much tomato on the market, so the price has to be reduced. That is what happens. We have to do better in agriculture. Not just government. Everybody is to blame. We have to do better, and we have to want to do better. There's a mindset change that needs to happen. A greater appreciation for agriculture and what it entails. And then it has to be treated as a business and not just a means to an end. We have a call on the line. Good morning. It seems like we've lost that caller. You know? So we were on the topic of agriculture in schools. Teachers taking the extra mile with their students. And let me tell you, these extra miles make teaching so much easier, so much more fun, and children retain it better. And I'll tell you why. We have a lot of children in our classrooms who learn differently. They can't all picture the answers. They're not all kinesthetic learners. They're not all naturalistic. They are not, you understand? They learn different. So whereas one child may learn from the theory, you sit down, you read a book, boom, they learn. Another child may learn the same thing, but in a different way. So I may learn about germination and the parts of a plant because Miss draw it on the board and I see it. And I know that's what it is because she say that and I read it. But then there is another child who may remember the parts of a plant because we went outside. We took our plant out of the ground. We dissected it. I could see the leaf. I could see the roots. I can see the stem. See, we have to take all of that into consideration. We have another caller on the line. Good morning, caller. Oh, it seems like we lost that call as well. You know, where have we gone from teaching the practical sense of agriculture to now everything is books? Books. My children have a agriculture book. I don't even know what they're learning from the agriculture book, really. Because agriculture is a practice. So what are they really learning when all that we teach is theory and very limited practical farming or practical agriculture? So more of that needs to be done. We have to do better. So you have the parents who are now able to say, okay, well, this is what agriculture is all about. I am a farmer. I am doing this in farming. This is what it makes. This is how I do it. This is how I appreciate it. This is what I know. Let the children have an appreciation for farming so they themselves can make their own choice on if they want to be a farmer or not. We shouldn't make that choice for them. And then in the schools, it's reinforced because they can actually see how the book and the theory and the practical actually meet and make sense. And how much fun it could be to milk a goat. How much fun it could be to rear your own chicken and see it lay eggs. We have another caller on the line. Good morning, caller.
Hi, good morning, Ms. Duncan.
Good morning.
Farming in schools, very interesting topic. You said that we have different learners, which is very true.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we give up our opportunity to actually educate our children about farming by actually not bringing them to market and like shops and different places to see what actual farming is. As you said earlier, farming is not just laboring on a land and sweating and growing a plant. Farming is processing. Farming is marketing. Farming is selling. Farming is inventing new things. Mm-hmm. I mean, the machinery involved in farming alone has grown and evolved so much that if some of us here just specialized in new ways of farming and new technologies, we'd make killing off of that. But when, as you said earlier, when we're teaching or educating our children about farming, I think we focus solely on the fact that we need to grow things. And one of the disillusion that people have felt in farming in Grenada is that as much as you grow things, unless you're able to market your things or find the markets for your things, it is all just waste. Mm-hmm. And it has made a lot of people reject, degrade, and even looked away from farming as if it's something that is not beneficial to them. Yeah. And to an island country, a nation as ourselves, with lots of greenery and lots of land, one of the only ways we'll be liberated, truly free people, is if we're able to produce, and when we're able to produce our own food. As we've seen the COVID thing came, tourism is looking like it's literally dead. It will come back in some shape and form, but it will not come back the way it was. SDU, which is 25% of our GDP, is now off island. When will they come back? We're not sure. How will they come back and what capacity? We're not sure. At the same time, the land is sitting there, the rain is falling, the sun is shining. We have an opportunity by the time tourism and SDU and all those other things get back to some semblance of normalcy, we could be ahead of the game in terms of producing our produce in Grenada so that at minimum we feed ourselves. At best, we add value to products that we grew here to be able to export to make money. If I'm to ask one question, and I called you guys last week and my phone call got cut off, I would have loved to speak to Mr. Boulder. Mm-hmm. What are they doing to encourage and inspire young people into farming? Because most of our elders are passing away. Mm-hmm. Most of the people that are still in farming right now, because of the lack of education or the miseducation in farming, we didn't look at marketing, we didn't look at adding value to our products. Those things we're lacking in. how do we, even yourself, how do you see inspiring young people who are accustomed to Facebook, who are accustomed to using a computer, who are accustomed to sitting in a comfortable air-conditioned space doing a job? How do we inspire and encourage them to get into farming?
Yeah. Well,
That would be something I really think is important.
I'll say this, right? I'll say this. When you say, what are we doing to...
We as a country, nation, not this has nothing to do, this is apolitical, nothing to do with a party, because to me, I think that's one of the flaws that we've been doing, is focusing on particular parties or particular governments. And this is one thing we have to understand. The government of Grenada is not 15 people.
Right.
Those are the people that the government of Grenada chose to represent us and our best interests.
Right.
And we have to understand that. The representatives that we chose is just that, representative. They represent us. But when we do not act as a government, when we do not act like we care about our best interests, when we do not take the steps necessary to free ourselves, we can't blame other people. So my question is not in any way, shape, or form to point any finger at anyone. It's literally a question that all Grenadian citizens, home and abroad, need to try to figure out before this thing kills us. How do we feed our nation without having to depend on anybody outside of this nation? How do we teach our children that the land that they're standing on is their future? And if they're not careful, they will be renters in that land. Right. And one of the easiest ways to make sure and prevent that from happening is to grow food, be food independent.
Yeah.
So the question is apolitical. It has nothing to do with any party. I just want to know, in terms of even your, as I say, your personal opinion, how do you see us as a country invigorating and inspiring young people to go to agriculture, which again will tie in tourism, it will tie in medicine, it will tie in education, because all of those things are needed for agriculture to boom.
You're very
so
right.
How do we do you have a, that's why I wanted to talk to Mr. Bowler to see what I can gain from his experiences. Mm-hmm. And there were some other things too. I wanted to, there's some land I need to find out how to get someone to tell me what's the best thing to plant in that particular land. It's up in St. John in Maran. It's very rocky, some hills, it's next to a ravine, but I would like him to give me some feedback on how, or even point me in a direction of who's the best person to talk to start actually utilizing the land and maximizing the potential of the land.
All right. Yeah, but caller, you are absolutely correct. We have to determine if agriculture is important enough to us that we're willing to change our mindset and encourage our young people to look at agriculture from a different perspective, from a different point of view. You know, we tend to blame people and to point fingers, and we're not even sure what we're pointing fingers at. We're not even sure what we want. You know, we can say, okay, well, let's improve agriculture so we can start feeding our people. That's great. But are the people ready to buy? Are the people ready to support? And that is an important question, because that is what will actually determine whether agriculture thrives in Grenada or not, you know. It is the support. So, for example, you have tourism. We like to make reference between tourism and agriculture. In this current time, where tourism is basically at a standstill, there are a lot of farmers who are deeply disadvantaged as a result, because tourism plays an even more active role in agriculture than the people in Grenada who say that that more needs to be done in agriculture. And that is the truth. So sometimes we think farmers just plant their crops so they could go in market and sell it. No. A lot of the farmers produce food that the hotels need. Now, if we didn't focus on hotels, if we didn't or tourism, and make it more appeasing for people to come and visit, whether they stay or not, then we would be losing a big chunk of agriculture there as well. And I want us to understand that. Because we tend to look at everything one-sided. We don't take time to sit and properly analyze. So all of the people who are saying, let's do more in agriculture, are we willing to say, stop import canned food because our farmers can produce carrots and peas and we can buy them and make our own peas and carrots? Are we willing to say, well, don't bring in any chicken because we are willing to support our farmers as they supply us with local chicken? We have another caller on the line. Good morning. Hello. Hi, caller.
So, good morning, Miss Duncan.
Yes, good morning.
Oh, sorry. I'm multitasking and I apologize for the mix-up.
I hear that.
No, Miss Duncan, tourism and agriculture. As a guy with common sense, and I spent 25 years in the hospitality industry, both locally, regionally, and internationally. And there is no question that tourism and agriculture goes hand in hand, without elaborating and taking up too much time, especially when it comes to foreign exchange. Because foreign exchange is one that extends our capacity to trade and to buy things, you understand, and to keep most of our local currency inside without having to, pay the extras for foreign currency. So this thing goes hand in hand. Mm-hmm. Now, agriculture. Ms. Duncan, I don't only blame government, because I also believe that they have a part of the blame too. Mm-hmm. I blame us, because my 50 plus years of existence on the face of the earth in Grenada, I believe that we have had enough experience in all aspects of farming, whereby we should know by now what works, how it works, what it takes to work. Mm-hmm. I'm of the opinion that in agriculture, government must control most of the apparatus that contribute to farming, meaning all the tools, apparels, equipment, pesticide. What it means is that it will cost us to produce a pound of whatever at a cheaper price that allow us to get a better price, on the market internationally and otherwise. Because that is how St. Vincent come and control, all the agricultural stuff we used to send to Trinidad before. One, they have been able to produce a bunch of banana, yam, potatoes, and these things at a cheaper price to send to Trinidad and us. But Miss Duncan, give me a couple seconds here. Listen there, Miss Duncan. Do you know in Grenada here, when it comes to how this government have managed this COVID crisis, we have ranked among one of the top 10 countries in the world. And sometimes, we take this thing for granted. But we must compliment the COVID team. Dr. Martin, I shouldn't start calling him because I forget the other name. And all of them who've been on the front line in terms of leading the charge with the assistance of the government. Now, Ms. Duncan, give me please, I don't want to take time here. I look at what is taking place now. Just imagine, since February and March, the country been locked down. And the government has been able to meet all the financial commitments and obligations to date. in terms of the social programs, in terms of paying people on time. I am part of that. Honestly speaking, I fall within that structure. And sometimes I just feel guilty to know that, listen, my salary is there. You know what I mean? And I'm looking for things to do, but based on the crisis, I'm limited. So, and Miss Duncan, just imagine all of these things that was not possible in 2013 when we have an economic and financial crisis, nothing to give. And today, 3 or 4 months on, the government can give a stimulus package, and still for all, the government can meet all the financial obligation, and they can still pay wages and salaries on time. Ms. Duncan, I thank you very much for the time.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for your contribution, caller. You know, I often say that sometimes we ask for things without first sitting and considering what we are asking for, what we have to put into it, what it really takes to achieve what we're asking for. And that is something that we must always consider. If we want more in agriculture, are we willing to take up the mantle and do what is required of us as citizens to ensure that agriculture thrives in Grenada? You know, we look at some of the other countries that have been mass producing. Some countries, their farmland bigger than Grenada. And we still sometimes want to compare them or their agriculture to us here. Now, are we willing to make the sacrifice? And that's where we left off. Are we willing? Are you willing to make the sacrifice? I ain't even saying we, because very rare I would buy stuff in the tin unless it's now hurricane season and you know you have to be prepared and so on. But very rare. I cook a lot of local fish, a lot of local chicken, a lot of local vegetables. You know, I have a local farmer in my community who always provides me with all of the vegetables and provisions and so on that I need, that I purchase. But are we as a people willing to support that? Is it easier for us to get up and go in town and buy KFC and buy Subway and these things than it is to get up and cook a well-balanced meal? And this all ties into healthy living, but that's a different topic for a different day. See, it all ties in together, you know. Agriculture and tourism, agriculture and health, and what all of that means to us. Is that important enough that we are willing to change our whole lifestyles to promote agriculture? You know, are we willing to say, okay, well, you know what? Every Friday or every month, I'm going to budget and make sure that I put some money into the agricultural sector, that I support my local farmers, and not just by going into the supermarket and buying some lettuce and buying some tomatoes. Because for us to do more in agriculture, it means that it's a change to our way of life and our eating habits as a people as well. So we have to consider, are we ready to make those changes? Can we start right now? Can we all say right now that I'm going to the farmer's market and I am going to buy $100 in this or $100 in that, and that is every month I'm going to pump money into agriculture, into farming. Because once we have the buying power, you know, and once we start to support agriculture, once we start to buy more, then the chances of the price going down is a lot better. Somebody asking me, why my face tie up, so don't worry. It's not because of the topic. It's sitting here in a little bit of pain. I have a pinched nerve. I never even know that was so painful, or that it was so easy to get a pinched nerve, So bear with my facial expressions if they look a bit off. But we have to know what we want to do, what we're willing to do, what we're willing to sacrifice as a people. And I keep mentioning the economies of scale because it simply states the more you buy, the cheaper the price. So if we support the local agricultural sector, then the cheaper our prices go. So we don't support, but we complain about the price. But are we willing to support so that the prices can change? That is also something that you have to consider. Are we willing to make the sacrifices? Are we willing to say, okay, well, we don't need to import bread anymore because we have a lot of local people here who make the bread, so we can use the bread that we have here? What are the sacrifices that you are willing to make? And that's a question we fail to ask ourselves. We're ready to say government isn't doing enough. More needs to be done for farmers. But are we ready to make that sacrifice? Are we ready to make that sacrifice? Are we ready to say, we're not going to import any of the fries. We're going to make local sweet potato fries, or we're going to serve breadfruit fries or fried breadfruit. Are we willing to, you see, because we keep asking for it, but a lot has to change in order for that to become a reality. And we are the ones to make that change. Are we ready? I saw something very interesting. I bought something very interesting from Real Value the other day. It was a bag of chips. And inside that bag of chips, the chips actually were made from vegetable skin. Provision skins, I guess. So there was sweet potato, cassava, and a few other things. Very delicious. Why can't we do that here? Why can't we just break away from the norm? You go every month to the supermarket, you fill your baskets, and then you go home. Some of all have never even been to the vendor's market to purchase your provision and so on. So a lot has to change. Because then it will require for us to eat healthier. It will require us to make a lot of sacrifices. So we must know what we want. And when we ask for it, we must be willing to make the sacrifice so that it can be achieved. So we spoke about parents encouraging children. We spoke about teachers incorporating the more practical aspect of education, of agriculture into education. Now let's talk about the farmers. Let's talk about the fact that you want the assistance, and this is only for some, because there are a lot of farmers who go by the guidelines of the Ministry of Agriculture. Some farmers are very, very successful. But for some, it's seasonal. So they only go in when it's time to plant tomatoes because they know the market high for tomatoes, so everybody wants to plant tomatoes at the same time. Nobody is taking or following the guidance of the Ministry of Agriculture. But we want more monies pumped into agriculture, more support being given to farmers. But they are not willing to expand what it is they're doing. They're comfortable with just the mediocre. I mean, let's be honest. It happens. It's time we start treating farming as a business. So I might be a farmer, but I don't have the farming sense. But there are people in my family who can help. And that's why. And agriculture has so many more careers, more than just going out in the farm and plowing land. You know? I may not want my son to become a farmer to plow the land, but I can sure send him to school to learn about the business side of agriculture. Or I can send him to school to learn about the manufacturing side of agriculture. So that he can bring something to the table when it relates to agriculture. And that's what needs to be done. That's the mindset that we need to change. We need to stop looking at agriculture as if it's just planting, reaping, and selling of produce. And look for every other career that it incorporates. It takes a mindset change. Now remember I said tomorrow, and tomorrow we have a really interesting topic, eh? I don't want to give it away. I don't even want to tell y'all who come in. I just want it to be a surprise. So I want y'all to tune in. Because that conversation tomorrow is going to be a very interesting conversation. And it may hit a few nerves. But there are some things that need to be said. So we're going to say them. So guys, the lines are open, 440-7377 if you're calling locally. If you are in the diaspora and you want to give us a call, it's 329-3101. And we are taking WhatsApp and WhatsApp calls at 440-7377. Let us know what we are asking for. You know, and I just want to share a few of the careers. So you want your child to study science, that's fine. What about meshing science in agriculture? Where your child can study biochemistry. They can study environmental engineering, agronomy, agricultural engineering. So many different things. Bioinformatics scientists. Well, that one sounds difficult. But there are different ways that we can incorporate education into farming so that people don't just see it as plowing land. Our children don't want to farm because we don't encourage them. We make it sound so hard. We make it look as if it's a lesser job. But we want more to be done in agriculture. So many different things, so many different areas that we can look into. And I was telling someone the other day, it's okay to want your children to be doctors and to want your children to be lawyers. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But at the end of the day, when you choose to send your child to study, let's say they go on and study in SGU to become a doctor, and the field is already so saturated, same as with the lawyers, and they come back 6 months, 7 months, they're sitting at home, nothing for them to do, but they have a degree in law. See where I'm going? So do the research. And this is something that I advocate for a lot. In schools and at home as well, mostly at home because parents have a lot of power over what their children choose to do at the end of the day or choose to study at the end of the day. Have that conversation, all right? We live in Grenada. First of all, that's the first thing we need to identify. We live in Grenada. What does the market need? You know, what are we short in? So we don't have to import people from America and England. We don't have to pull people out of retirement because there are no qualified people in that field. And this goes for any field, actually. That is something that needs to be done on a child leaving school to enter TAMCC, or a child leaving school, TAMCC, to go to SG or whatever university, with the intention of coming back into the country to work. See, you can't just say, well, I want to be a lawyer, I go in and be a lawyer, and the government just have to make sure that they provide an opportunity for me to practice law in Grenada. It doesn't work like that. There is a need for nurses. How many of us are sending our children to be nurses? But we're sitting there and quarreling that there aren't enough. There is a shortage. None of us are willing to send our children. So you see, we ask for a lot. And it's okay to ask. But with asking, the work has to be put in. Somebody has to do the work. These things don't just happen overnight, snap of a finger, wave of a wand. Work has to be done. And no matter where in the world you go, the work hard just the same. So we have to know what we want. We have to be willing to say, I want to see Grenada developed, so I'm going to do this. I want to see Grenada developed, so I'm going to do that. We have a bunch of students leaving SGU with a bachelor's in psychology. Psychology to do what? It's an important question. Did we just study psychology because it was an easily accessible degree? Or did you do this research to say, okay, well, Grenada in need of a couple psychologists, whether private or public, child psychologists, clinical psychologists, marriage counselors. Is that what your mind was on when you did it, or you just do it because? So we have to take all of those things into consideration. Parents, I'm calling on you. Your children are getting ready to sit CXC. I believe the schedule for the exams are already out. Sit and have a conversation. Guide them. Because they need the guidance. Guide them. Go with your child and find out. GIDC, I think, does a market research. They know where and what fields are lacking in the country. Help fill those voids. You can't want to study music and there's no avenue for music in Grenada, and when you ain't get a job, you vex. You know? We asking more people to do farming, but the farmers are getting older, retiring, can't work the land anymore, and they're sending their children to study psychology, or they're sending their children to study medicine. Nothing is wrong with that. But there is a need in Grenada for more farming or more farmers. How do we fill that? If we don't want our children to do the hard work. We need some agronomists. We need some people with the vision to take the simple product and make it into something extraordinary. We need somebody with a vision and a passion to watch all the mango green on the tree and say, you know what? I can start making candy the mangoes, or I gotta start making red mango. So we don't have to pick the mangoes and send them to Trinidad, and then we have to buy it back as red mangoes. So that a lot of the things that we import can be minimized. So that shops can now say, okay, well, since we buy in local and we eat in local, I'm going to start making some fruit bowls. So that a child don't have to come in the shop and buy biscuit all the time or conkles all the time. Or the shopkeeper can say, well, instead of making chubby, I'm going to start making lime juice or lemon juice and selling it in little bottles or little cups. So a child come for a chubby, or instead of a chubby, they get lime juice. So they get, something like that. We have to start having vision. A lot of people say a visionless government is bad, but it's not a visionless government that's bad, It's a country filled of people with no vision. That is what is bad. Government can only set the foundations. We must now rise to the occasion. Meet them halfway. Say, you know what? I'm going to start packaging my vegetables and selling them as a whole package. So I could go in town and spend $10 and get lettuce and tomatoes and so on in a package. Go home and cut it up and I have salad for the week. That's how we need to start thinking. So I could go in town and pay $20 and get a package that has dasheen and yam and eddos and everything in that packet. We have to start being more innovative. We have to have vision. So a visionless government is bad, but a visionless people, now that's worse. When you cannot see beyond the blame that you're casting, that's worst. Than anything else. So we have to know, do we want to move forward? Or are we just interested in playing politics with everything? Are we just interested in sitting down and waiting for somebody to come up with some new way to blame government for something and we jump on that bandwagon too? Or are we willing to have a vision, see the things that need to be done, and take a chance and do it? Nothing in life ever comes easy. Everything is hard work. Everything is hard work. But you know what makes the difference? How you feel about what you're doing. If you love what you're doing, the time passed, the work hard, it doesn't bother you as much as if you're in a job that you hate and the days feel so long. So we have to have vision as a people. We want to see more for agriculture. Then let's do more. Let's pick up the mantle in Grenada. Let's start with what we already have. I passed by the stadium today and the vendors were there. Tables laid out, pretty colors with their vegetables and their fruits. The only thing that was missing was the people to buy it. That's the only thing that was missing. So they have put in the work. They've made sure that they planted, that they reaped, that they cleaned, and they packaged to sell. The only thing missing are the people to purchase. So that's why I keep saying, we want more. We ask for more. Sometimes we are not willing to go that extra mile to get the more that we're asking for. Gone are the days when we had maroon. You cook a pot of food and you make some juice and you buy some beers. And you invite some of the boys in the community to come and help you fork land to plant. Gone are those days. We ain't doing that again. We rise above that. But these were the things that motivated people to plant, that gave people a better appreciation for agriculture, and not look at farming as some second-class job. I said to someone just recently, and I think I posted it to my social media as well, that we are talking now about all lives matter, Black Lives Matter, we're dealing with racism. But in the Caribbean, we have a different issue that is bigger than racism. It's classism and colorism. And we're going to talk about that too. So how do we help? How do we get what we're asking for? It means that we all need to play our part. Right? So today or tomorrow, if they decide, well, the people say we need to do more in agriculture, so fine, here's what. We go ban the importation of let's say peas and carrots and these kind of tin vegetables. And we're going to have locals make that. Or we have locals supply that. Will you be ready to purchase it? That is the question. Are you ready to purchase it? Are you ready to support what you're asking for? Are you ready to make that lifestyle change that will be required when that broad focus is made on agriculture? Food for thought. So let us be mindful of all of these things when we are asking. And remember, if somebody come and tell you more needs to be done, the first question you have to ask them is, can you tell me what has already been done? If they can't tell you what's already been done, then the conversation should probably end there. Because in order for more to be done, you have to know what they're already doing to either increase on or add to. If you can't tell me what's already being done, then you shouldn't be talking about more needs to be done. And for those of us who know what is already being done and still saying that more needs to be done, before we even utter those words, we must not be caught with our pants down when somebody asks, have you been buying? How frequent have you been supporting your local farmers? These are important questions. See, if we take time to sit and analyze and educate ourselves, nobody ain't taking us for fools, you know. Nobody ain't giving you nothing to drink and you're swallowing it whole without even looking in the glass first to see what it was. Educate yourselves. Sit and think critically about the things that you hear, so that when you make contributions to conversation about things happening in your country, that you know what you're talking about. Educate yourselves. Keep saying that. We're ready to jump up and make noise. And we're ready to take everything you hear, you're taking it and you're running with it. But when it comes to educating yourselves, making yourselves more knowledgeable about the runnings of your country, you ain't quick to run with that. So be mindful. So guys, please keep in mind, as we get ready to move into a new stage of this time with coronavirus, please keep in mind that coronavirus in dead and gone, and now is things back to normal. No, it's still very much around. We must be ever conscious of that. So as more easement, more freedom of movement is being given, please keep in mind that Corona is still around. Be mindful. And also, I've been hearing from people traversing on the buses, it's never happened to me. So I cannot say that I've experienced it. It's never happened to me. But I have received complaints that some of the buses are not following the protocols as it relates to the seating arrangements. And I want to appeal to the people that while in some cases the bus driver or conductor is to blame for carrying more than the allotted amount, some of us are to blame too, because I will never go on a bus that have more than 10 people. You have to speak up for what is right. It's your right to feel safe, to know that you are safe, and they cannot violate that right. So please, and this is a call to the busmen as well, follow the guidelines. It's not forever. It will change. At some point, we may be able to go back to your full 18. We may be able to be in the vicinity of more than 10 people to socialize. At some point, that is going to happen. But for right now, we know what works. So if we want to get from point A to point B, it's a process. Can't just jump over the process and end up at point B. We have to follow it. And let time heal everything. Let time pass. It's not written in stone. It will change. Additionally, before I go, because I'm running out of time, I just want to quickly mention for the bus owners or drivers who have not applied for the stimulus package as yet, there was an interview done with Ms. Chanel Andrews from the Ministry of Finance. Right, the Ministry of Finance. And she indicated that there are bus owners, bus drivers who have not yet applied for the stimulus package. That still qualifies. So we're in June now. They apply for June. And if you have not applied for April, you can apply for April and still be considered to receive. All right? So take that into consideration. To the bus drivers and the bus owners, don't let people fill your head with nonsense. Once you qualify, once you know that you've been affected, of course, if you know you've received the stimulus under the income support, the payroll support, being a taxi driver or you're under contract with government or whatever it may be, you know you don't qualify. But there are bus drivers out there who actually do qualify, they've been sitting at home, they have no contract, they're not subcontracted with government or working with a taxi service or anything like that, so they really have been affected, and you have not applied. Please apply. It's there for you. All right? Don't let nobody use their experience and say, well, I apply and I ain't get. Ask the question, what were the conditions that you did not receive? What happened? Why did they tell you can't get? They didn't just jump out of nowhere and say, okay, well, you ain't get. Some people going around and say they ain't get stimulus package and they haven't even applied. So please, educate yourselves. Educate yourselves. Seek your own interest. Don't let people tell you what they think and make it, or their opinion, and then all of a sudden it becomes yours. Analyze situations. Analyze information. And let facts guide you. Hearsay, he say, she say, they say, Facebook and WhatsApp is not facts. Once you can't say who say, somebody come and tell me, watch, I hear they say. They is not a person. Tell me who say, and let me determine if that is a reliable or credible source of information. And don't just pick up anything and run with it. Be mindful. So guys, in whatever you say and whatever you do, be safe. Be secure. I always love talking to you. And on any given day, I want to be talking with you and never about you. Please enjoy the remainder of your day.
The following is a message to the nation by the Minister for Agriculture and Lands, Honorable Yolan Bain Hosford, on the stimulus package as a result of the impact of COVID-19 on the agricultural sector.
The challenges brought on by COVID-19 have forced the entire nation to endure some level of sacrifice. For some of the nation's farmers, the state of emergency restricted access to their farms, resulting in losses in produce. Notwithstanding this, we must appreciate that this decision was taken firstly to protect lives by containing the spread of the virus, a decision that impacted the economy negatively. Having done a preliminary assessment, the government committed ECD 5 million as part of the stimulus package for the agriculture sector. However, to date, the Cabinet approved over ECD 6 million as a direct response to the impact of COVID-19 on the sector. I am pleased to report that this will increase as the Cabinet considers a proposal from the Grenada Cocoa Association for financial support. It is important to note that the Ministry went through a rigorous process of formulating the Food Security Mitigation and Response Plan in collaboration with the Marketing and National Importing Board. The MNIB's involvement was strategic, given the challenges farmers faced during the initial stage of the pandemic with marketing their produce as a result of the repatriation of SGU students and the impact of the pandemic on the tourism and hospitality sector. Therefore, the Ministry had to offer some immediate relief to farmers, thereby providing an avenue for farmers to sell their produce by establishing farmers' markets throughout the state. I am pleased to announce that through this initiative, the Ministry has invested over ECD 100,000 to ensure that the nation's hard-working farmers were able to market their produce, thus securing their livelihoods. I am also pleased to reveal that the Cabinet has approved the work plan and budget for just under ECD 1 million for the Marketing and National Importing Board to address the immediate challenges with marketing, distribution, and storage of agricultural produce. This, we believe, will bring much relief to farmers during this challenging period. As the ministry continues to cushion the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic on the agriculture sector, it will focus on 3 areas in the short term, which are as follows. 1, the implementation of its restructured farm labor program, which encompasses 2 components: A, tree crop, nutmeg, cocoa, soursop, coconuts, etc., and B, root crops, vegetables, and tubers. Note, this initiative targets commercial farmers and will see a total of 400 acres under cultivation. 2, the implementation of the backyard gardening component. And A, 500 families will benefit from this initiative along with a few geriatric homes. And B, each recipient will receive a backyard garden kit with a variety of seeds, seedlings, tools, and other agriculture inputs, and a tech pack. Note, the ministry's technical officers will work along with each family. 3, the implementation of protective culture technology. A, refurbishment of existing shade houses on private farms as well as various propagating stations. B, the construction of 10 shade houses. And note, the work plan and budget for the above mentioned will see an injection of just over ECD 2.5 million. As we listen to the cries of our nutmeg and cocoa farmers, as export markets disappeared before their very eyes, and the association's inability to purchase farmers' produce, as a concerned government, the Cabinet approved ECD 3 million support package for the GCNA to divide it into ECD 1 million grant and 2 million loan. As I said earlier, the Cabinet is in the process of approving a support package also for the GCA. It is very instructive to note that government has already exceeded the initial sum committed to at the time when the stimulus package was disclosed to the nation. As we endure during this difficult period, there were officers of the ministry who risked their lives and that of their families to make sure that the ministry was able to deliver services to the public. To the workers at the various propagating stations and their supervisors who work tirelessly to make sure the propagation targets are met. The officers of the Extension Division who ensured that operations of the farmers' market were successful. To the finance officers and other members of the administration department for ensuring salaries were processed and paid on time. Officers of the Land and Survey Division, Vet and Livestock, Planning Unit, Land Use Division, Pest Management Unit, Produce Chemist Lab, and the Public Relations Unit for their dedication during this difficult time. It will be remiss of me if I didn't single out our drivers for their commitment and dedication in service. With these words, the pleasure is mine to launch the stimulus package for the agriculture sector. Please be advised that as the ministry continues to embrace the challenges brought on by COVID-19, we see tremendous opportunities for building a more resilient sector. However, may I hasten to add that the success of this package depends on the support of everyone. Let us commit to firstly feeding ourselves. And remember, we all have a responsibility to ensure a safe nation for all. May God bless us all.
The proceeding was an address to the nation by the Minister for Agriculture and Lands, Honorable Yolan Bain Hosford, on the stimulus package as a result of the impacts of COVID-19 on the agricultural sector.
Stay up to date with all that's happening with the new National Party, NNP. Send us a message via text or WhatsApp on 405-8683 with your name, email, and constituency. Stay in the know with NNP. Get updated.